light. Ugh. What the hell? All right, anyways. Let's watch a little bit of this Jacksepticeye video. We have a lot to cover, so we might not watch all of this, but I wanted to see it.
I like trains. Now that we get that out of the way, I wanted to do a video talking about a recent thing that happened to me, which was I was diagnosed with autism. I'm going to leave some time there for a lot of you to be like, yeah, duh, we knew. Well, if you knew, why didn't you tell me? No one told me. I want to talk about it because I think it's important to open up that conversation, because after having it be diagnosed officially by a doctor, a lot of people came to me and were like, oh, but you're so like social and you're so like your communication is great, and like I couldn't tell. And I think that that's an important distinction to make, because even
if I may, this has a lot to do with masking. This is also why I think it's cool that such high profile or such big creators are open to talking about these experiences publicly, because I think a lot of people just don't understand what neurodivergence is like if you're neurotypical. Like the number of people I've had tell me that they didn't know that I had social anxiety. Please don't pause on that face. I'm so sorry. I did him so dirty. This one's better. The number of people I've had tell me like, you have social anxiety? No, you don't. It's like, jokingly, no, you don't. I'm like, I do, man. I'm sorry. It's the mental illness. It's in there. I just fight it. I just fight it like crazy. My life is just an uphill battle. Okay. The problem is I like people. I'm just scared. I'm just scared. My brain just gets scared. It's like, oh my God, what if you say the wrong thing? What if you're cringe? Then what? What if you're cringe in front of these people once? It's going to be all over. Okay? It's going to be all over. It's like, you're right. I should just say nothing. That'll be way more normal. Oh God. But it's also funny because a lot of streamers have social anxiety, which seems counterintuitive, but there's something about not being able to immediately see people's facial like reactions that makes the social anxiety go away. And because you don't have to interact with anyone and see anyone's face react to your face, you can be a lot more you. Like I struggle sometimes, depending on where I'm at, to interact in a way that's casual. Like, keep it chill, keep it normal. What do I say? What do I say? But for some reason, streaming, it doesn't feel that way. I don't know why. And from the people that I've spoken to who have been diagnosed with autism, it's basically the same thing. 100% Denims Hassan is that way too. When he interviewed people at the DNC, he couldn't look them in the eye, asked a question, then went picking lint off his clothes. Oh yeah. For the first time I met Hassan, I was like, oh, this guy. Real, recognize real. Yeah, this is an anxiety ever, I can tell. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say, but basically, oh yeah, a lot of the people I've spoken to who are on the spectrum have described sort of the same thing, which is they like interacting with other people and they like connection with other people. And so they've worked really hard for a lot of their life to learn to mask and to be able to interact with people. And being autistic doesn't mean that you can't fucking speak to people. That's not what that means. I mean, being autistic can mean any number of things because it presents itself so differently. But moving on.
Even for me, growing up in like the 90s or the early 2000s, autism had to be that thing that was what is now known as nonverbal autism. It had to be the people who need to stim all the time. It had to be people who need repetitive motions, who can't really communicate well. It was that like really stereotypical version of it that a lot of people still think today is what autism is. And don't get me wrong, that is part of the spectrum of it, and some people are that way, but that's not the entire picture anymore. And for me, for a long time, I was like, oh, I have ADHD. And I thought that that was the reason why a lot of the things I do are the way I do them. But it turns out that ADHD and autism are also like a Venn diagram, or like they're part of the same spectrum, or however you want to
From what well, we don't, our understanding of it is not very good just yet. Currently, we've started thinking that ADHD, anxiety, and autism might be more interlinked than we think that they're interlinked. But the current research that we have, the most up to date research, because that's still like the upcoming research, the current up to date research that we have is that you are more likely to have um, one of these other ones if you have one of the former ones. So, like, if you have autism, you are more likely to have ADHD and also anxiety. But now we're starting to think that actually it's not that they are these separate things that happen to have uh, uh, that come as like a package deal, but rather it's that they're all more of like one thing, which is interesting. Comorbidity, yeah.
Visualize it. It's basically, I don't want to say basically, but to put it like in the basic, most banal terms, they're basically the same thing. And I got tested because of my own curiosity. I just like figuring out how my body is, why I am the way I am, how I kind of like fit into different places in the world, and also just to kind of like give myself peace of mind, because when I was a kid, I was the outsider. I was weird. I played video games too much on my own. I like stayed liking the things that other people didn't really like anymore. Like they moved on, like, oh, I don't like video games anymore. And I'm like, oh, I still like love video games. They're cool. I love Sonic the Hedgehog and trains. I actually don't even really like trains or Sonic the Hedgehog. That's how no one knew I was autistic. As I got older, I was like, I have ADHD for sure, definitely. And I went and got tested for that and got medicated for that, and it didn't really work. And I'm trying like different medications right now for it. But at the time I was like, it's not really like clicking. Like I have friends and other people I know who have ADHD and they take medications like it's night and day. That's not always the case for everybody, but just some of the things they were saying about their ADHD, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like that, but also like a lot more. It just felt, when I was younger, it basically felt like I was the outsider. And then when I got ADHD, I was like, I still kind of feel like the outsider. So I felt like there was something more. So I wanted to go get tested for autism. As I was learning more about it, I started reading stuff that people with ADHD can have autism as well, that they overlap with each other quite a lot. And then I was like, reading down the list, I was like, if you have autism, you likely have ADHD, you likely have depression and anxiety, you likely have intestinal issues, you likely have hypermobility and joint issues, and you likely have asthma. And I was like, I have all of these things.
It's okay. I missed like 3 of them, okay? I missed like 3 of them. I'm good. I don't have asthma. Or what was the other one? I forgot. Oh, yeah, intestinal issues. No IBS, I think.
I just have like a soup of like mess going on inside of me. And then as I started to understand, it was like, oh, all of these things are kind of like under the umbrella of neurodivergency, and I just thought it was interesting to get checked for different things and also just learn more about myself. And as I've gotten diagnosed with ADHD and autism, and even for me, getting diagnosed with autism was just such a massive positive. He was talking me through it and was like, some people react poorly to it. Some people don't like to be confronted. Some people don't think they have it and are a bit in denial about it. And I was like, I see this as nothing but a win. I finally have like more answers about myself, why I am the way I am. And not just for other people and where I fit in with things, because like it doesn't change anything about me. I'm still the exact same person I was. But for me, it makes me go easier on myself having these diagnoses about the conditions that I have. Like knowing that I'm autistic, ADHD as they call it, makes me go easier on myself, being like, okay, that's why I couldn't really keep up in college, because my brain just kind of like works at a different pace. It doesn't really study things the way other people study it in a neurotypical way. And it's made me like recontextualize my life a lot more and made me just feel better about myself. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from all of this, because I've lived with it for so long now, 34 years of my life, that Like it's not.
It's also fucked up because, so for example, having ADHD for me, the opposite can also be true. Where there was no shot, there was no universe where anyone would have ever diagnosed me with ADHD as a kid because I got perfect grades. Because I had the subjects that I loved and that I hyper focused on like crazy. And I loved being there and I loved paying attention. And I was super, like, I was literally ahead in all of my math classes because I just loved math. Like, I remember many math classes just taking naps in the class because I was waiting for us to move on to the next thing. This is also why the school system, I will tell you, is nonsense and is bullshit. It's not made for the purpose of learning. It's like trying to fit all of these different people with different interests and different preferences into the same curriculum. And then in the classes that I wasn't good at or the classes where I didn't like, I had like a strategy. I was like, okay, I'll get 100 on the first exam. And then once I've built the trust with the teacher, I will become teacher's pet, and then I never have to do homework or study ever again. Easy. And that's what I did. That's it. And then if that didn't work, I just cheated on those exams. That was it. Because why bother doing this thing that takes me for, like, trying to read.
Shout out to my mentally ill homies.
Trying to read history or like English. I remember I hated, but English teachers, a lot of the English teachers I had sucked ass. And with English, I feel like, I mean, with all the subjects really, when your first introduction to that subject is through bad teaching, you learn to hate the subject. And that's what happened to me. I learned to hate English and I learned to hate history because my teachers sucked. Whereas I remember my math classes, I loved my math classes, probably because my very first teachers that taught me math were great. So I remember trying to sit there and like do the homework for like my history classes and like I couldn't get through it. And I just gave up because I was like, this is too much work. Like I am pulling teeth to get through this work. I'm not doing this. I'm just going to cheat on my test. This is stupid. This is a waste of my fucking energy. Which is what I did. which is what I did. So no one would have ever diagnosed me with ADHD because it's like, well, it's not getting in the way of like your school, but it's like it was getting in the way of my school because I couldn't fucking concentrate in these classes that I hated. So I just gave up on learning in those classes. So anyways, yeah, my math teachers were scary, strict ones. I had one bad math teacher, but the rest of them were great. I think I just had too many experiences with English class that was like, oh, well, technically the most correct answer is this one. And I was like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you so much. And that's why I loved math so much, because there's only one right answer. You either got it right or you didn't. Which, hearing myself say that doesn't bode well for, yeah. Moving on.
It's not going to change anything really. It'll just make me dealing with myself a bit easier. It'll make me go easier on myself and treat myself a bit more kindly. And I think that's really important because how many of us don't treat ourselves kindly? And a lot of people are probably like, Sean, why are you telling everybody? Well, it's not like you got diagnosed with cancer or something. I get it. Like I said, it doesn't really change much about myself. And it's not like a condition that's like really like life-threatening for me.
Asperger's syndrome when I was 9, and some of the meds that they put me on at that age completely sapped me of my personality. I lost friends because of it. It can be really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. But that's also part of the reason why it's nice to see autism more widely accepted and starting to become more understood now, because just because you have Asperger's or just because you have autism or just because you're on the spectrum, it doesn't mean that you need to be medicated. That doesn't mean that you need anything. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong that needs to be fixed. It just means, oh, here are the particular challenges you might experience in life, and don't be too hard on yourself. Just know that that's a challenge you're going to have, and you're just going to work through it, and it's going to be fine. It's the same sort of thing. It's like just because I would have really appreciated knowing why I fucking hated the classes that I hated. I would have appreciated recognizing I just need to spend a little bit more time on this, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm bad at it. It just means I need to spend more time to care more about it.
Or anything like that, but I think it's a good conversation to have, because when I talked about being diagnosed with ADHD, the amount of people that came out in support of that, but also said that they got tested because of me. Like, even my agent said he got tested much later in life, older than I am, because of the stuff I was saying. And I know that some people are going to say the same thing about this, like, oh, I didn't know autism can like present itself that way. Like, looking at me, you wouldn't think that I was autistic for a lot of people. So I think it's important to have that conversation and also just normalize it. I'm trying to, you know what? I'm trying to fucking change this industry. I'm going into next year with an evolutionary mindset that I want to change this fucking industry from people who are obsessed with ambition and legacy. Legacy is just another fucking word for ego and narcissism. Like, you're trying to build up a life for yourself that you want people to remember you.
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with this. I fucking agree. I always thought the legacy thing was weird. It's always why I thought that the forcing your kids to give you grandkids thing was weird. It's always been fucking weird to me. I understand wanting to have kids. That makes sense. You're genetically predisposed to that. Like, literally, you're hardwired to want that. I've never understood well, we need to continue the bloodline. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? If these people don't want to have kids, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you want to force these people on this shit, huh? It's so weird. I think also Asperger's is the outdated Nazi term here. I think you might be right that, I don't know about, I think it's outdated. I don't know if it's even in the DSM anymore. But I think the sentence from the chatter that said that they got diagnosed with Asperger's when they were a kid, I think that sentence is still accurate. Because that was the term that they got diagnosed with, right?
After you're dead? How self-involved is that? Do good things and hope people do good things back and just spread positivity and joy, you know? But I want to change this sort of mentality around mental health and the way people operate, and this whole idea of like chasing ambition and views and goals and projects and being better than yourself every single day. It's fine to want to be better, but at the behest of absolutely everything else in your life, where your mental health struggles and all you're doing is being productive and making things and just not living your life or being a person or exploring your own mental health and your own mentalities, or dealing with the stuff in your past that fucked you up as a kid that's driving you to be ambitious because your dad probably instilled something in you, or your mom wasn't proud enough of you, so you're trying to, like, you know what I mean? Trying to break down these walls and not like hide away from all of this shit. Have people like sit in this sort of like pseudo masculinity nonsense that we're all kind of hiding in. At least from my perspective, being like, I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of the lack of conversation around a lot of this stuff. And a lot of people, when I announced on Twitter that I had autism, people were like, dude, why would you admit to that? Like, it's some sort of bad thing. It's some sort of thing that suddenly like makes me worse or makes me a different person. It doesn't. I would guarantee you that 99% of the people who do YouTube or do content creation or any sort of creative artistic thing all have ADHD. There's a reason that a lot of us are attracted to a job where we make our own hours.
Literally, what did I just say? Literally, what did I just say? I'm telling you that there is something uniquely neurodivergent about wanting to do content. Pre-watch. I didn't have pre-watch. I swear I didn't pre-watch. Tecton's a bitch. Yeah, he's a little pussy ass bitch. Because do you know the worst thing about my broken ass fucking brain? In the month that I was banned, when I was unemployed, I was really enjoying the like free time I had again. I don't want this to get into a conversation about like what's harder, streaming or 9 to 5, because it's just a stupid conversation. It's just such a dumb conversation. I saw a tweet recently from talking about Speed, talking about streaming versus 9 to 5, and he talked about how serving tables was way harder, which is a point that I've defended, for example. Let me pull it up 1 second. I don't know if I can even find it, but if you guys find the clip or know what I'm talking about, please post it. What is this fucking thumbnail, dude? What is this thumbnail? Sorry, got distracted. Yeah, serving, and I've said this before. I've taken this like 10 times farther, by the way, which is working any type of food service job. It's like one of the hardest jobs you have to work, okay? One of the hardest jobs you have to work. Probably, dare I say, like top 5. Up there with like teaching and like overworked, underpaid nurses. Which like, would society collapse if we didn't have servers? Probably not. Would society collapse if we didn't have nurses? Probably. I'm not rating them based on like importance in society or whatever. And I'm not trying to compare the two jobs. I'm talking about stress level. That this is a job that exists, that is currently demanded by our markets. And it is a job that fucking sucks to do. And I've said before, dude, I think the world would be a better place if people were more afraid of their servers. Okay? I've also said that I think that if you work food service, you should be allowed to be high on your job, okay? I don't think you should be forced to be sober, okay? I think if you work any type of customer job, you don't need to be sober for that job, okay? I just don't think so. I just don't think so. Unless you're working some managerial job, in which case, fuck you. You should be sober anyways. Or you're working like heavy machinery or like a job that might hurt people. So like, I don't want my doctor to be high as balls when he's operating on me. Please. I don't want my surgeon to be high as balls. Please, not that one. Thank you. But like, I really don't care if like the Macy's cashier is high. I don't care. She just needs to scan the item, put it in a bag, and tell me to swipe my card. I don't think she needs to be sober. I don't give a fuck. All right? I don't give a fuck at all. I'm sorry. Same thing with like my fucking, I was high in retail like 80% of the time. Fucking based, dude. Fucking based. All right? Fucking based. Same thing with the guy that works to register at the McDonald's. I don't care, dude. I really don't care if you're a little high. As long as you can click the buttons and hand me my change, as long as you're not so high that you have to lay down, that's fine. I really don't care. I think you should be able to have something that you can do recreationally. All right? Or at least, can we get them fucking chairs? Are you fucking kidding me? Why are cashiers standing? Can we start there? Can we fucking start there? So I've said this a million times, like customer jobs are the hardest jobs. They're some of the most difficult jobs. And I have so much respect for people who have to work customer jobs. And it's why, as a customer, I am the most polite person that I can be. Like, I am so polite to servers. Like, you have to look me in the eyes, spit on my food, and throw it at my face for me to consider not giving a tip. I've never understood the people that are like, the server didn't even smile or ask how my day was. I'm not giving a tip. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Are you kidding me? I don't care. You brought my food to me. Thank you. You get your tip. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's not more difficult than that. With that in mind, the jobs that I have worked, okay, because I am nerd maxing, I got an accounting degree, which means that I sit in fucking offices, and all the jobs that I had prior to streaming were sitting in fucking offices. Those jobs are easy as shit, okay? Those are the easiest jobs on the fucking planet. The bullshit jobs where you sit in an office and you do work, those are the easiest jobs on the fucking planet. And I can tell you for a fact, and anyone who has worked a bullshit office job knows that those are the easiest jobs on the planet. Even if you have long hours, which I had long hours. Because most of the time you get to fuck off and do whatever you want. Like, it doesn't even matter what you're doing. As long as you're there and look busy. Like, as long as I did all of the stuff that I needed to do, I responded to all the emails, the variety of random garbage I did over all of the office jobs that I did. As long as I did all that shit, I could just spend my free time doing whatever else I wanted to do. It didn't matter. I just needed to be there for the period of time that I needed to be there, finish the stuff that I needed to finish, and I could just spend my free time however I wanted. I worked something similar to like a call center. And I'm not even joking, guys. What I would do, I would put Netflix on my phone, and I had an earbud in one ear, and I would put my TV show right on my like laptop, and I would press play, and then I would call the numbers, and most of the time they don't pick up. So I just like leave the voicemail while I'm watching, and then I would hang up, and then I would just do that all day. And then when they pick up, it's like, okay, pause. Hi, yeah, I'm calling about blah, blah, blah. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay. And then I'd press play again. Why? Do you want to know why? Because it's a bullshit job. Because it's a bullshit, easy ass fucking job. And those jobs are absolutely easier than content creation. I do that with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays kind of suck. Fuck yes, dude. That makes me so happy to hear. Okay. Those jobs are so fucking easy. They might be a lot of time and a lot of like, sucking up to like your boss and your coworkers that maybe you don't like. But the actual job is easy. The actual job itself it's not stressful. It's not at all stressful. With all of that in mind, what I was trying to say was, in my time off, I was remembering how much I missed having like stress-free work where I would go to my job, even if it was a fucking annoying ass 12-hour shift, I would go to my job and then I could just go home and clock the fuck out. Like I didn't have to care about anything after my workday. Like I could just go home and play video games for as long as I wanted, because even if I didn't get that much sleep, it didn't matter because I would just show up at work like a zombie and be like, whatever, let's just get through the workday, which is another thing that's really nice. Like it's streaming when you or doing any type of content when you're not well rested, because it's a creative thing. And anyone here who's like done any drawing or any writing knows you can't do it on low sleep, or you won't do it well on low sleep. So you have to make sure you get good sleep. But when you work a normal job, you don't have to give a fuck. You can just show up exhausted. It doesn't fucking matter. Because if this fucker that employs you won't even pay you a fair wage, why bother giving them 100%? All I need to do is clock in, do the minimum amount of work, and then clock the fuck out. And on jobs that I've had where I've gone above and beyond and then requested a pay boost because I was doing 3 people's work, I got told no. And I was like, well, I'm quitting. And they were like, oh, wait, please don't quit. Ha 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 ha. Please don't. Ha 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 ha. I was like, no, I'm good. Thanks. I'm good. Actually, that's stupid. That's dumb. I feel bad because like the assistant manager had to pick up all the work that I did. But I was not going to keep working that job for that pay. Sorry. Minimum wage only gets you minimum work. Yeah. Yeah. True. Artist here, arting on fumes is some stressful bullshit. You need the sleep. Yeah, exactly. So all of that is just to say, the one thing with content creation that brings me back, despite the fact that all of my free time is spent thinking about how I should be working and should be spending more time making content, and like maybe less so for me and more so for other people. I know a lot of other people are impacted by what other people say on the internet. I guess I just don't don't care. But I think if you are experiencing people doxing you or swatting you or threatening you, I could imagine that that's very stressful. And the fact that you can never really clock out when you do content is kind of stressful. Not as stressful as working service jobs or as like a nurse or any of those things, to be clear, just in case. But the thing that brings me back to content is that when I work, normie work, when I have a normie job and I have all this free time and I get to play all these video games, I get sad that I'm just not doing anything creative. Like, I'm just like, I want this fucking stupid hyperfixation that I can put all my soul in, and then I could try really hard to make this content that people will like. And when I don't have it, I'm just so sad that I don't have it, which is definitely mental illness. Which is definitely neurodivergence. And I promise you, a lot of other content creators, they have to have the same brain rot that I have. They have to. Cutie last night was stressful. Sorry if it was already mentioned. Oh, did Cutie have a stressful stream? Oh, that's sad. Working in retail is soul draining. I hate the holidays. Dude, I'm telling you, dude, retail workers should have a gun that they're allowed to use. Like, retail workers should have body cams and they should have a gun. And they should be able to tell customers, I need you to stop screaming at me or I am legally allowed to shoot you. And then if the customer keeps screaming at them, I think you should be able to, okay? Actually, I think people shouldn't feel so comfortable screaming at service workers. I think it's insane that people feel no remorse treating other human beings like shit. Fiesta Femboy, welcome. Anyways, that's just so that, sorry, the body cam is that so we can shame the person who was screaming at the social worker. I mean, at the service worker, to be clear. Maybe just pepper spray. I'm just saying, it's America, okay? All right? I'm just saying. No, seriously, I will say this, by the way. Like, service workers, their job is so hard. Their job is, I feel so bad for anyone who works retail or food service. I'm so sorry. I am genuinely so sorry that you have to deal with so many fucking annoying customers and that you don't get to tell them to fuck off. Because you should be allowed to tell them to fuck off. You totally 100% should be allowed to. That's fucked up, Kiriko.
I worked retail and I literally had a lady walk by and scream fat ass at me, bruh. She was a regular customer I helped too.
Biz, that Tectone comment is out of pocket, but I'm not saying it's inaccurate. The customer is not always right? Yeah. The customer is always right in matters of taste. Actually.
Hi, Denims. Hope you were having a nice day.
Mars, thank you for the 6 months. Thanks. All right. Let's watch a little bit more of this video. Now, all of that was just to say, I'm still drawn to content despite the fact that I stress more about more things than I would not doing content. And despite the fact that my life would be more simple if I didn't do content, and I would probably make about the same amount of money just working as like a CPA, I'm drawn to content because there's something appealing about creating something that I enjoy making and that other people enjoy watching. There's something that is like very fulfilling that I need. Joel, thank you for the 5 gift subs. What the hell? Thanks. Thank you.
And we get to communicate with people through a camera rather than having to be in front of them 24/7. You know, there's a definite pattern to this non-conformity aspect of like not wanting to do a regular 9-to-5 job, so you sit in front of a camera playing video games, or, you know, and I bet you like half of those people probably have autism. And they just don't realize that that's what autism is, like the way it presents itself. And it's the sort of terminologies and the paperwork and everything about it. The conversation around autism and what it is completely changing. And 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even said, I mean, even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that I had autism. And now here I am where I'm like, yeah, the signs were all there all along. And the way it presents itself in me is not so much, apparently my communication is good, but people don't realize, like, when I'm conversing with people, I'm going through like a million different things in my brain. I'm overanalyzing the way I am. I'm overanalyzing everything that I say. I'm pushing everything through a filter in my brain. I'm reading everyone's body language all the time to like see where things fit in. So I always say that I'm a really good judge of character because I'm like hyper analyzing people all the time. and not in any sort of judgmental way where I like throw it back at them, but for me it's like a thing that I can use to kind of like help me get through conversations and social structures a bit easier. And I'm able to weave in and out through that. And I use comedy as my tool to do that. I can like sit down in a group of people, use comedy, and within 5 minutes, I can get a beat on everybody and I can figure them out. And that's my superpower, guys. I have autism. I have superpowers. But also with me, it's sensory things. Like I've talked a lot about, like, let's say BB goes for a poop in the kitchen. I can smell when he goes to the bathroom immediately. I can pick up on the smell of shit a mile away. I'm like a shark with blood in the water. And then if he like shits on himself or something, I'm like, Evelyn, you got to clean it up, because if I look at it and smell it and touch it, I gag nonstop. Like I want to be able to help, but I can't do it. I will gag crazy. With certain foods, I'm a bit weird with like the textures and the consistencies of them. So for me, it's like a lot of sensory things. But apparently I'm doing masking like all the time. So it's really interesting. I think it's interesting to see like a lot of the stuff that people talk about like in social situations and like, no, I'm just introverted and all. You probably are autistic and you just don't realize it. And unfortunately, getting tested for autism is a really tricky thing to do, because I went privately because the waiting list publicly on the NHS is like 2 years. Fuck that. I can't imagine having to wait that long to kind of like get an answer for things for yourself. So I feel for everybody out there who has to wait that long. I'm lucky that I was able to go private, and it still took like 2.5 months to get that assessment ready. And the assessment was fine for anyone who's thinking about doing it. The assessment for me...
This is why I also think that the people who say, oh, it's so easy, everybody's autistic now, everybody's getting overdiagnosed, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, dude. Speaking with people who have had diagnoses or have gotten tested, it's a lot of tests, because they have to first make sure that it's nothing else that is causing the symptoms. And that's not even talking about the money. Like, so one friend of mine who has like auditory, I guess like issues, I think you would describe it that way. They had to like test to make sure that her hearing works this way, and that like it's not that she can't hear, or it's not that she has ear damage, and it's not that she has something else wrong, before you can even start to test for this thing, before you can start to test for this thing, before you can test for autism. It's not like this, just you go in and you're like, well, sometimes I play a lot of video games. They're like, clear sign of autism. Like, that's not what happens. Oh, God. Like prerequisites in college? Yeah. Like, I know for a fact the audio stuff, oh my God, dude. I've seen I think it's called like the RADS test or whatever. And I took it just because I was like, I need to know. And I rated low on everything except the audio one. That was the only one where it was like, yeah. Because I don't know how other people can hear someone speaking and be able to speak. As soon as someone else is speaking, the idea of trying to speak is impossible. Like, it's so infuriating. Once audio becomes too loud, or there's too many things going on, or too many noises, I get so pissed. I get so pissed. And everyone else is like, what's the problem? What's wrong? Oh, the multiple audios playing in the background? Just ignore it. Don't worry. It's, how? What do you mean how? How do you ignore it? What the fuck? So, yeah. Auditory sensitivity is something I deal with. Yeah, it's so infuriating. Whereas like the sensory stuff, I've never cared about that. I'm pretty sure I dislike the bad sensory stuff as much as anybody else.
For me was go in and sort of like break down your life in a way that is like, were you always like this as a kid? How did you play with other kids? How did you interact with other people? Were you shy? Were you communicative? How did you imagine your play when you were a kid? And now as an adult, how do you interact with other people? Is it difficult to like keep eye contact? All of those types of questions that you kind of expect will be asked. But there's an assessment form that they go down through that actually is like graded. And for me, one of the scores, there was like a couple of things that I was being scored on, but one of the scores was like, the threshold was like anything over 100 is probably autism spectrum, and I scored like 121. So it wasn't like a crazy high number, but there's definitely like the traits are there. And you're not really supposed to say like moderate, severe, or like high functioning and all of that kind of stuff anymore, because it's kind of degrading, but you can kind of like figure out.
Yeah, it's also rude as fuck. I mean, just think about it. It's rude as fuck to say high functioning versus low functioning. That's fucking... I can't believe anyone ever felt comfortable saying that shit. Happy Thanksgiving, Devil. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in here. I wanted to do like a little poll and see how many people are celebrating or not.
Where I am on the spectrum with a bunch of other like terminologies. But the assessment I found actually quite interesting because it...
I'm low functioning, but I got no autism.
is some people don't like breaking down their life and like confronting themselves in that way, but I quite enjoy doing that. I'm a very introspective person, and I like kind of figuring out how I tick. So I thought it was an interesting assessment to go through, but it wasn't scary or anything, at least not for me. So I would say if you're thinking about doing it, but you're kind of like apprehensive about it or scared of it, I'd go for it. If anything, the worst thing that can happen is that you end up exactly in the place that you're in right now, and that's probably not that bad. But all the people out there, whenever I'm playing video games, and they're like, man, Sean's so distracted. What is he, stupid? I was pulling my hair out every time he did this. You guys are making fun of an autistic person. Bet you don't feel so good now, huh? You guys were attacking me over stuff that I can't control. How does that feel, huh? Not so good. Some of the reactions to it, though, were really funny. People were like, Jack, we know you did 100 episodes of Happy Wheels. That was funny. Or I posted like the mustard meme from the Kendrick album of me screaming, and then right after that was like, I got diagnosed with autism, and people were like, duh. I think that's funny. I think it's fine. I'm okay with people joking about it. I don't really have a problem with that. I think it's kind of funny. But I also wanted to talk about it because this is sort of the year where not only in my personal life, I'm trying to live my authentic self, as it's called, and I'm trying to figure out more about myself and gain the confidence to kind of just be me as who I am. But it's also the year of mental health for me and for Thankmas. And I think that's another reason why I like pushed myself to get these assessments and to kind of like open up.
Thankmas is so cool. For anyone who doesn't know, I was wanted to make sure that I was picking the right Irish guy. But yeah, Jacksepticeye does this Thankmas thing at the end of every year. Where he just fundraises a fuck ton of money. A lot of creators come together, help fund a number of charities. A lot of them, I think, end up getting matched by companies like Tiltify. And they put on a fun little show, and all of it goes towards charity. And it's a really cool event. And it's really cool. And if you have the opportunity to watch it this year, you should try watching it. I think this is the decade we tear apart the stigma around mental health. I hope so. I hope so. Also, that's the other cool thing about like getting diagnosis. Getting diagnosed doesn't mean that like you need to be medicated or that you need to be treated differently or that you, I don't know, can excuse behavior or whatever. Getting medicated just like I think getting diagnosed for a lot of people I think just makes them comfortable with who they are. And the number of people who have gotten diagnosed with autism who weren't diagnosed before that get manipulated by the people around them or feel like they should change because there's something wrong with them for having this hyperfixation or having these hobbies or wanting to do this or spend their time doing this. It's like, no, you don't need to change. It's like, it's fine. If that's who you are, that's who you are. It's like a revelation. It's just validating. Yeah. I'm off to Thanksgiving. Have fun at Thanksgiving, Elle.
That conversation and be sort of that person that kind of takes that initiative. So I have an audience of people that I can use that influence to spread a better message and be more positive about it and break down this whole like, dude, don't admit it. Autistic people are bad, or like people are going to treat you differently, or like it's not cool to do that, or, you know, I'm just so fucking tired of that. I'm tired of this version of the internet that we live in, where everyone has to be like crazy productive, crazy ambitious, build a legacy, be as cool as you possibly can be, show no signs of weakness whatsoever. That's all bullshit. Not showing weakness and puffing your chest up and trying to be the coolest person you can be and be as productive as you can and do the coolest things you can be, that's weakness to me. Because that means you're hiding from, you're just working to hide from what you're actually scared of, which is being alone with yourself and loving yourself. Obviously, I'm throwing out a bunch of accusations, and it's not true for everybody. And it's all unique and it's all different. But you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at. You know where the vibe I'm sitting in is. And I want to tackle that head on next year. And I want to evolve. I want to be an evolved version of myself that is... This kind of contradicts itself, saying like going against the whole like be better every day. But you know what I mean? I want to be more open to who I am as a person and not dance around shit because of what everybody else tells me I should be acting like. That's what it is. But Thankmas is going ahead soon. Tickets are on sale. If you are close to the LA area, you want to come see it. We have so many guests. I put them up already. You can go to the community tab and see it. It's all over Twitter as well. I've been posting a lot about it. We have some incredible guests coming up. We have some musical acts. We have 2 shows that are going on. It's going to be a great fucking day. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait to get together as a community and raise money for mental health and kind of like push this narrative of positivity and change and upheaval that I think the industry so desperately needs. Because it's not been a great year for YouTubers and people who everyone thought was amazing and great and like, your numbers are really high, so that means you're a great person. You do a lot of charity, so that means you're a great person. Not always the case. And I've always tried to be a bit more transparent and honest and break down that wall and that barrier and not build myself up into something that I'm not. And I think that that's important. That's why I'm having this conversation with you right now. That's why I ramble. That's why we're here. That's why we do it. That's the end of it all. Thanks for watching. I don't know. I have autism. That's it.
Diagnosed. Oh, man. Also, Joel, thank you for all the gift subs. Thank you for the 3 gift subs in chat. Thanks. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah, this is the Thankmas link that I could find. Here, if you guys want to see anyone in the LA area. The last time, I think I went, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think I was gonna go, and then something else came up. I went to a different thing that happened around the same area. But I think I was supposed to go to it, and then I forgot to go, or something came up. I don't remember. But it's a very cool production that they put on, and they try really hard. Here's the official Twitter page. If anyone is curious, has the official live stream and everyone that they're going to bring on and stuff. It's really cool. A lot of really cool people going to be on. Try Guys will be there. Rambo, Myong, Jarvis Johnson, Chad, Aaron Hansen, Captain Sparkles, Ethan Nestor, Ludwig, Pokey, Saikuno, Valkyrie, Ted, Cutie, Sea Dog, Jack Black, Michelle Carr, and Burleasy. I know some of these people. You didn't like Jack's YouTube video. Sorry, you're right. Here we go. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. I'm sorry. He did it. Dude, Cutie looks so cunt in this photo. She looks so cunty. Great photo. The guy from Minecraft, yeah, he kind of fell off after the... You know, stuff about some. Anyways, yeah. They usually do like musical shows, and then they put on little performances, and they do little fun things. I forget what they did last year, but they did a lot of fun, cool stuff. I wish I could remember things past a month ago. But yes, please. You guys want to follow it for updates and stuff. It's always a good time.